Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, March 5th, 2026. I think I'm going to start a new trend for Thursdays. We'll call it like dystopian Thursdays. So if you guys have like story pitches of anything that's dystopian, send it to us. In fact, let me throw up that email um, that Ted created that you guys are supposed to like inbox us so we can read this stuff every Friday. Robbie, go ahead and put up that ad while I look for the email banner. And then here it is. TMI show question at yahoo.com. It's not only for questions. You guys can send questions, comments, story related stuff. Please send it our way. We do read it. So all right, let me get to this ad while Ted is on his potty break. I'm Manila Chaan. This is the TMI show. The tea of the show will be here momentarily. In the meantime, still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for that clean energy and laser focus without the crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also going to get a gold spoon clip because freedom ain't scooped with plastic. And a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother in law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear, all yours for just 99 bucks. This is for all of you who have been watching 1775 blow up here on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio, grab your starter kit before they're all gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. And there is our tea of the show, Ted, fresh off of deprogram. Okay, so I got that housekeeping out of the way. And I had other things prepared. Ted, do you want to hear what I was going to do to kill time?
Of course.
The did you know? I was going to do a did you know. So today, March 5th, 1963, the hula hoop received its patent. Toy company Whammo began marketing the hula hoop in 1958, and co-founder Arthur Mellon secured its patent for only 5 years. 5 years later, Whammo sold an estimated 25 million units in the first 4 months.
That's crazy.
Mellon and I guess not a lot of good toys in 1963. Mellon and business partner Richard Nair created their hip swiveling toy after seeing a wooden hoop that Australian children twirled around their waists during gym class and named it hula after the Hawaiian dance. Whammo produced a steady stream of new items following the hula hoop, including the Super Ball, Water Wiggle, Silly String, the Slip and Slide, and the Hacky Sack. They invented that. Really?
There was just some kind of giant explosion just outside my house. I have to go look.
I just heard that.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
That was weird. I wonder what is happening there with Ted. All right, let's let Ted have a moment because there was some weirdness. I heard that. Did you guys hear that? Oh my god, I think Ted's going outside. Should he go outside? When you hear a giant explosion? God, I hope everything's okay. I heard that. I don't know if you guys did. If the audio came through. That was really strange. I don't know. I guess when explosions occur, I guess you should go inspect. Are the Iranians attacking? I'm just kidding, because obviously U.S. intelligence has shown that the Iranians have no mode of attacking the homeland, that it's just not realistic. So anyway, I hope Ted's okay. Robbie's out getting coffee, 1775 coffee, because he actually drinks it. that had me a little worried while I was reading that. Anyway, so there's that. Maybe I'll just jump to the first story. Um, I see I see Robbie coming back. I'll let him know what's going on because that could be a little scary. I'm putting Robbie on the screen. He doesn't know yet. Uh, Robbie, you're on the screen because Ted had to walk away. There was a loud explosion sound.
Oh, well,
And
hopefully,
if it was the
everything's
Iranian.
okay. I mean, it could be the Iranians. No, they did have a mothership flying over the eastern United States last year, launching all those drones. Remember that?
Oh, that's right.
That's what the Trumpster said.
That's right. I forgot all about that because we speculated that maybe it was like a Chinese weather balloon again or unleashing like smaller weather balloons.
No, it
But
was
I don't
definitely
know.
an Iranian. It was definitely an Iranian
Oh, it
mothership.
definitely was. Yeah,
Yeah.
the audience says they heard it
Oh,
and that they would go outside too. Yeah, people heard it. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was only it could only be heard in my audio or yeah, Ray says
it's loud as hell.
rewound, heard it loud as hell. Matina says, yeah, we heard it.
Mm.
Huh. And Ted's not back yet. He looked
Yeah.
out the window and then went outside.
Huh.
So that's a mystery. So you be on standby until Ted
Okay.
comes back because
That's fine.
I'm a little worried.
No, I
Not gonna
completely
lie.
get it. No, I get it. And there's one thing I am good at. I can definitely help move the needle. So that is something I'm able
Girl.
to do.
Well, you know what? Um, I don't know if it was an explosion or a crash. I heard a loud like boom sound. Um, the last time that happened outside of my house was just a few weeks ago. Oh, there's Ted.
There's the
Um,
Ted.
and it was a stolen car getaway being chased by the police, and the guy crashed into an electrical pole, a wooden electrical pole.
No, that'll happen.
So that was yeah, but it was like at 12:30 at night. So it was like this loud, just hard. I knew it was a crash. I'm from the city. I know a crash sound. Well, Ted went away again. This is strange. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just read the first story. At least Ted's okay. I don't know if they're okay outside. I hope they are, but our Ted is okay.
So long as the Ted is okay, that's what matters.
Yeah, that's we need the product here. So, no.
Oh,
I hope
before you read
whatever
the
it was,
first
that was
story,
okay.
I have a question for you. I have not looked at the rundown just because with all the tech issues this morning, it's just been wild.
Oh.
Did you see what happened with that protester who got his arm broke in the Capitol yesterday?
Yeah, I sent that to you.
I don't know. Tim Sheehy, our senator from
That's what I
Montana.
said. He's your senator.
Yeah,
He's your guy.
that guy, he sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was thinking about that.
Isn't
Trump is
he a
calling on the
former
Iranians to
Navy
protest.
SEAL or
So it's okay
something?
for Iranians to protest, but we're not allowed to protest here.
Correct. Protesting is good in Iran, bad in America. That's exactly what you're supposed to take away from it. You can protest your government in Iran. That's good. If you protest your government in America, you're a traitor. That's international
How
law,
does that
Robbie.
work?
Hello.
Can you explain that to me? Because I mean,
It's just international law 101. It's
okay.
it's just how it is, like gravity. It just how it is. I thought you knew this. Come on, common sense. So yeah,
Well,
that
is
is
that
right.
part
And
of
Tim
the
Sheehy,
law-based
what is he? What
order? Or is that
is
the
he a
rules-based
former
order?
rules-based order? It's not like Newton's law or anything.
He,
This is like rules-based order.
yeah. So he was. Yeah. No, he was a Navy SEAL.
Navy, I thought so. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was a Navy SEAL. He came here to Montana, started a little like an aerospace mechanics based company, bought himself a ranch. Basically, the dude's a fake
Oh,
rancher, and
okay.
he
Yeah, I
defeated
heard
John
that.
Tester in the last
Okay, yeah.
election. And I mean, he is a wholly owned subsidiary of Israel.
That makes sense too.
So Montana is now occupied territory.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Well, I mean, if it's not Israel owning Montana, then it's Bill Gates, who's become the biggest rancher in the country.
Californians.
No, but Bill Gates himself is the biggest rancher in America. He owns the most ranch land. Yeah, I thought you knew. Yeah, well, there's.
I would rather
Ted.
have I'd rather have the Californians here than the Israelis. Just saying, if I had to pick one.
Well, Ted, the audience is on pins and needles. What was it?
I don't know. It's like
they all heard it. They all heard the boom.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was like, I couldn't figure out if it was a.
Was it a tree?
I thought it might have been a tree. I walked all the way around. No tree on the house. The whole house shook.
Oh wow.
I thought it was like a. I don't know what it is. It's not like a. Doesn't this sound like a car crash? It didn't sound like that earthquake. The time that I was on with, I think I was on with Angie when I had the earthquake in New York. I've been around mortar fire, which you don't really get in New York very much.
That wasn't
even though things can get spicy. So yeah, I thought it might be a tree because the trees are full of very heavy snow and they've been coming down, right. But no, I don't know if it is. And there was an aftershock too.
Weird. Sonic boom? Could it be a sonic?
I wonder if it was an earthquake, actually.
Huh.
But it was sonic like sort boom? Of
a. I don't know.
Or it could have been a neighboring house. It does remind me when I was a kid, I heard a boom up the street, and it was a gas explosion. It blew up the entire house. I was
gonna say could be a gas explosion. That happens. That's been happening a lot lately, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
well,
I have
we're glad
power.
You're okay.
I have an intact roof, apparently. So
have you found Clovis?
No, I don't know where Clovis is.
Oh no!
In a situation like this, you don't see the cat again for like days.
Oh. Well, I hope he's
after the big
house.
1989. There was the 1989 earthquake. My in-laws' cat went missing for like 2 weeks. She was like, God. "Fuck this, I'm out."
That's the norm in California for all the animals. They make themselves scarce. But okay,
Manila, have you ever seen the video of the in Japan? It's in a cat lab where they do research on cats, and it's like the night like security camera. And then suddenly it's about half an hour, about 30 to 40 seconds before the earthquake hits. And the cats start bouncing around like off the walls and like jumping onto the bookshelves and everything. It's like, they're like popcorn.
They know. Animals know. They sense it like before it comes. The birds will scatter. I noticed in the 80s when we were getting a lot of earthquakes in California, we were talking about birds, right? Like earlier this week, how there used to be a lot of birds and now there are not many birds. So even where I was in East LA, that the birds used to be all sitting on the wire, right? And moments I noticed before the earthquake boom would hit, the birds would all just like off the wire all at once. And then like 10 seconds later, you felt the jolt. Like
that's cool.
The animals know, but now we don't have birds. So
yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, dystopian much, Ted? The bees are dying. The birds have disappeared. Or they don't exist in the first place and they're animatronic, like some people say.
right, of course.
So I don't know. It's all dystopian and weird. We're going to war with Iran and Congress doesn't care that they don't have the power to stop it. I mean, they do have the power to stop it, but they don't care. And they're like, whatever. End times, man. End times. All right, let's get to them stories.
Let's do it.
All right. So first up, a big shift happening quietly in the global economy, and it could reshape the next chapter of the U.S.-China rivalry. Notice I said rivalry and not like our enemy, China. Right? Like that's, if we were on Fox, I would say like our enemies in China. Xi Jinping. No, it's a rivalry, competition, right? So for years, China was one of the largest buyers of American exports. U.S. farmers shipped soybeans, energy companies shipped oil and natural gas, manufacturers sold actual aircraft, sold parts, sold machinery, industrial equipment. But according to new economic analysis, that relationship has changed dramatically. In fact, China essentially stopped buying large volumes of US exports in 2025 after a new escalation in tariffs between Washington and Beijing triggered another round of retaliation. So the net result, American exports to China dropped to levels not seen since the financial crisis more than a decade ago. By the end of the year, U.S. exports of goods to China, get this, Ted, 26% lower than the year before. So 2025 was more than a quarter of the total lower than it was in 2024 during Biden. And compared to the pre-trade war era of 2017, so before Trump's first term, America's overall export share going to China had been cut in half. Half, Ted. China's buying less than half as compared to, say, 2016, 2015. Economists say tariffs played a major role here. Each time the United States raised tariffs on Chinese imports, Beijing responded with tariffs of its own, effectively shutting American producers out of a massive market. In early 2025 alone, tariffs jumped by more than 140 percentage points, triggering another collapse in shipments. But tariffs aren't the entire story. China's own economy is also changing. Imports have slowed as Beijing tries to boost domestic production and rely less on foreign suppliers. Now, at the same time, China's exports to the rest of the world have surged, meaning they're selling more abroad while buying less. The shift has created this new reality. The US China relationship is no longer the simple trade pipeline it once was. Instead of a system where China buys massive amounts of American goods, or let's say even raw materials, right? The two countries are increasingly competing for global market share. Some economists estimate the US exports to China could be nearly 60% higher today, roughly $90 billion more each year had the trade war not began back in 2017. So we'd have 60% better trade, 60% to the good had Trump never began this trade war in the first place back in his first term. So the lesson going forward, economists say, and analysts say the biggest mistake would be assuming the old system. Oh, Ted, I guess you froze. I'm going to remove the other version of you and kick this one out.
That's the better version.
Yeah, I'm going to kick this one out. So I don't know how much of that you heard. I know your video was frozen, but the audio. Yeah, so the lesson going forward, the analysts say the biggest mistake would be assuming that the old system, the old way, would ever come back. They say that's the biggest mistake. Don't assume that we can revert to where we were with US-China trade relations pre-2017. China is diversifying its suppliers now. It's building more domestic capacity while the US is trying to rebuild its own supply chains at home and strengthen trade ties with other countries. So in other words, the era when China functioned as a giant buyer of American exports is fading. And the next phase of the US-China economic relationship may look a lot less like a partnership and just look more like straight up competition, Ted. And I think so this analysis, if people want to read it for themselves, I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link in the Rumble chat right here. So if you guys want to read that for yourselves, that's the Economist's analysis of basically China is breaking free of us, Ted. Like they're, for all Trump's bluster of like the tariffs have been really good and blah, blah, blah. Well, the numbers seem to show otherwise, Ted.
Yeah, well, I mean, things have changed. I mean, look, obviously, China is not an emerging power anymore. It's like, you and I, most of our lives heard that the 21st century would be the Chinese century, that after the 20th century was the American century.
For sure.
We're well into the Chinese century now. We're a quarter of the way in, and it is definitely China's world, and we're just living in it, right? So the US is definitely like, we're still obviously a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, we're breaking the entire world right now. So like, but that said, it's I think this was an interesting story because it's just a reminder that things have changed and will continue to change, and that we have to stop thinking about China as like, the Chinese want to be treated as equal partners, and frankly, they have the power, the economic and military power to do so. So to demand it. So we should do it. We have to do it. There's no choice.
Yeah, I feel like the Forever Washington class still look at China with 20th century eyes, or like as if they're the older sibling and they still look at their little brother. Ted's an only child, so he doesn't know. But
that's true.
But it's like I have a little brother, right? Little, who 38 years old. Okay, he's a grown ass man. But you see what I just did there?
But you still think of him that way. And you always will. You'll be 89 years old. You'll still think of him that way. Yeah.
I'll be like, my baby brother, he's in
that box.
Mm-hmm. He's forever the little kid running around trying to chase me with a water gun, a little squirt gun. Like, he'll forever be, even though he's a grown-ass man, married, expecting a second kid, homeowner, all of that stuff. He's almost damn near 40 years old. But I still, in my mind, think of him as my little baby brother.
Sure.
And I think that's how the Forever Washington, in more derogatory terms than what I'm thinking of with my little brother, but in more derogatory terms, thinking of China. They think of China of the 1970s and the 1980s, where you saw these poor villages, people being served slop, right? Like, that's what they think of. And they can't,
remember when we were kids, like,
they can't accept that.
Like, Manila, eat your dinner. Like, there's starving people in.
Yes.
They always said China.
Because there's a bazillion kids in China waiting for a bowl of rice porridge, right? I especially got that. Are you kidding? Like, pictures from the motherland in Laos and China. They're like, look, this is your second cousin. It like, aren't you glad that you're here? You better eat all of your bok choy. And I'm like, oh, but that ain't the case anymore. No. And I feel like Forever Washington is still hanging on to that concept, and we're operating our economics based on that, versus accepting the multipolar reality that other countries have developed. And at some point, there are by some measures, China has surpassed the US.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at infrastructure.
Oh God. I know.
Really?
Their ports are like 20 years old. Ours are like 100. Literally like 100 years old. And ships be crashing into the big new ships be crashing into our bridges trying to get to the port.
Like, yeah, that's not good. That's not going to happen in China. Yeah, it's true.
It's not good. China's got like literally 20-year-old ports that are the oldest. Like, everything's been redone, remodeled. They're bigger. They have machines that can, they don't rely on regular forklift operators like we do at the ports, Ted. Like, they have machines that'll pick up 6, 7, 8 cargo containers at once.
Well, we have those too in the big American ports, like Port Elizabeth.
Few.
And stuff.
I'm saying that's the
Baltimore
norm
has
in
them.
China.
You've seen them when you drive by BMI and stuff.
But this is like the norm in China. Mm-hmm. So at what point is America going to be like me and be like, damn it, I got to stop calling him my baby brother. He's a grown man.
Probably soon.
And I have to respect him as a grown man. I really did. I had to adjust my thinking of how I even spoke to my brother, because I was so used to being big sister, right? Like kind of barking commands at him, like, don't do that. Don't do this. Like, are you a dummy? Like, don't do that. I can't talk to him like that. He's a grown ass man. So I had to go through this mental adjustment.
And at least you meant well. You cared about
Yeah.
him. I mean, in terms of China, like, they know we don't really care about them. So at least we could show respect. At least show proper respect.
Right. At least acknowledge that they've come into their own. They're adults now, and you have to talk to them like adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
of course.
we're just not there, and we're never going to go back to pre-2017. The US has been left behind, and unfortunately, we're at the 250 mark, Ted. That's usually where empires began to crumble historically.
Is it the 250? I never heard that, Manila. Where do you get that?
Yeah, there's a theory. There's a whole theory. Robbie can jump. Robbie, isn't there a whole theory? Ted says, where do you get that? There's a whole theory about like when empires begin to crumble, it's at about birthday 250.
Well, definitely for republics and democracies, yeah, because the institutions deteriorate. For empires, it really kind of depends on how well they're managed. Like, no, you can make the case that Rome lasted for about 300 years. Because if you go to the first division of the empire, the Western Empire never really recovered. And then you had the crisis of the 3rd century, and then it was just like a slow decline. Like me personally, I think you can make the case that the Western Roman Empire actually fell in the mid 300s.
I would agree with that.
But the veneer survived, whereas in the East, the Eastern Empire lasted another 1,000 years. So it just depends on how well run they are, if they're able to maintain taxation, if they can maintain their territories. But for republics, yeah, because when people figure out that they can loot the treasury for their own good, and then corruption really kind of just rears its ugly head, that's the problem, and that's why the founding fathers were terrified of the idea of America being a democracy, because they do not work.
That's there. I went to our in-house historian. So there's a whole thing. I need to find this whole white paper that their whole thesis of basically they in a snarky way called the US an empire, but effectively echoing what Robbie is saying.
Yeah, of course it's an empire.
I mean, we are an empire. We are a global empire, and a lot of people ask questions like, "How you talk about how the United States regards China as his little brother?" Well, China's 3,000 years old, depending on when you start counting. The United States is 250, but scales down to power. China has historically, during the lifespan of the United States, been a weak nation. It's called the sick man of Asia.
Right.
And the United States was able to go through from 13 little colonies. They used manifest destiny. You occupied an entire continent, fought a brutal civil war, and then you go on and become a global empire. And the United States, let's just kind of check the scoreboard here. The United States destroyed the British Empire with the Bretton Woods Agreement. We bankrupted Britain.
Right. That's right.
We carved up China.
Well,
we
Britain
destroyed
was already
Japan.
On the ropes because of World War II.
We smashed. China was a sick man of Europe in the 1800s. I mean, that's when the whole sphere of influence started going in. My grandfather, he knew a guy who was in China during the Boxer Rebellion. And in his army base, like they have this big golden statue of a dragon that they looted from the Forbidden Palace.
Oh man!
I mean, it is right there. It's like we were there kicking Chinese ass, because if you're not strong enough to maintain your territory, other nations will come in and take it. And that's one of the reasons I kind of push back whenever people say, "Well, nations have a right to exist." No, they don't. No nation has a right to exist.
No, if you can defend the idea that a nation has a right to exist is absurd.
I mean, if you can defend your territory, sure, but
then
as soon as you can't, then you don't.
Yeah, that's your right. Yeah, it's a literally in this situation, might makes right.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the story of humanity. Like people talk, like my ancestors. My people came from in the early 1600s. To North America, to what's now Virginia, and my family's been here that entire time, and they conquered. My ancestors conquered a continent from a bunch of Stone Age people who did not have the will or a language or any kind of sophisticated culture.
to keep their land. Yeah.
That's the story of human nature. The nation of Turkey exists because the Greeks couldn't keep Anatolia.
Right. That's the story of mankind anywhere. So, but yeah, that's where I get the 250 from. I've read several things that I was like, that's not right. That can't be right. And I was looking for things to tell me that that's not true. But there's a history.
Representative governments typically have a very short lifespan because corruption
the crumble tends to happen around 250.
Yeah.
So they just picked a round number, 250. Like that's the decline stage. So we're there. End times. So yeah, see, there, our historian. There you go. Thank you. All right, let's move along.
The House is set to vote Thursday on a measure to block Trump from taking more military action against Iran without the support of Congress. Of course, the same effort fell short in the Senate yesterday. The war powers vote comes amid concerns that the U.S. could be engaged in another lengthy war in the Middle East. You think? And as a CBS News poll shows, the majority of Americans are against the U.S. war against Iran. Also, two out of three Americans say that the administration should get approval from Congress before it gets more war-y. Barring any last-minute surprises, the resolution will go down in the House the same way it did in the Senate. Thomas Massie of Kentucky, Republican, who's been one of the few right-wing critics of the Trump administration's offensives against Venezuela and Iran, introduced the War Powers Resolution days before the U.S. bombed 3 of Iran's nuke facilities last June. He backed away from forcing a vote last year after a ceasefire was reached. The resolution directs the president to remove U.S. armed forces from unauthorized hostilities in the Islamic Republic of Iran. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Louisiana Republican, said the vote plays right into the hands of the enemy. At a news conference Wednesday, Johnson argued that the Iran operation has been necessary, lawful, and effective, and reversing it now would weaken America. Massie speculated that his colleagues don't want a recorded vote on the issue because the U.S. has a terrible track record of meddling in the Middle East. The Constitution grants Congress the power to declare war, but of course, obviously, there have been many wars to avoid, and they've gotten around congressional authorization for many years. Republicans in Congress have shown little appetite in flexing their power to limit the president's authority to conduct the strikes, though some have indicated that that could change if the conflict lasts for more than a few weeks, or if Trump sends in ground troops. The Trump is going to scramble partisan lines. At least one of the Republicans said he'll break with Trump. Several Democrats have said they'll vote against it. Democrats say the Trump administration hasn't provided sufficient answers on the rationale for the war. Hard to argue with Democrats here. The president has yet to give an address to the nation to explain why we're fighting Iran. Administration officials
gave a truth, Ted.
The American officials do not seem to be able to get their story straight. Some say it's about liberating the people of Iran. Some say it's about nuclear weapons, even though there's no nuclear weapons program. Some say it's about
hodgepodge
ICBMs. Some say, I mean, I don't know. Some people just don't like.
They're funding too much terror.
They don't like Iranian food. I don't know what they're. So the point is that they haven't explained anything to the American people. Manila, to me, the dumbest thing that I've heard so far is the idea that it would send a bad message to the troops if we were to pass a war powers resolution requiring congressional approval and an explanation. That's been the right-wing talking point for the last 48 hours, that the troops would feel unsupported. What message would it send? I'll tell you what message it would send. It would send the message that we have a constitution, and that's part of the reason that the troops are there to defend and uphold it. And in fact, they swear to that when they become soldiers.
And that we'd be judicious in risking their lives.
That too, that we would not just rashly throw away or risk their lives. The other message it would send is that the United States is a country with clear separation of powers, delineated under that Constitution. That's the message it would send. It's not like it's the American people voting against the troops or against supporting them, or we don't like the cut of your jib anymore. It's nothing like
Your
that.
uniforms suck.
It's not even. It's honestly not even an anti-Trump
Mm-mm.
vote. It's not an anti-Republican vote. It's literally a vote just to say this is Congress's role and Congress should be involved, and that's all it is. But
But why do you suppose
Republicans
our
be spinning
politicians,
and
all
Democrats
of them,
not be counter-spinning?
that's the thing. It's the Republicans are not going to step up to halt Trump, right? That's first and foremost, because they only have until until November to do whatever the hell they want, right? The Republicans do, because I fully expect a bloodbath in November. But then at the same time, the Democrats, I think they're secretly mostly supportive of this action, but they need a few people to purport to be against war, like Liz Warren or Hakeem Jeffrey, the big names, the typical big names, right, in the Democratic Party. Although I think Chuck Schumer has openly been on the side of like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. But for the most part, the big name Democrats, I keep saying, purport to be against it, because they're not really, because they're just putting up the smoke and mirrors, dog and pony show, doing, their performance. And then when the vote comes down to it, they're going to vote to weaken their own power. This is the only time they'll vote to weaken their own power, Ted. This is the only time.
Yeah.
Because war is a uniparty thing. It's a unilateral agreement in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
and
Northrop Grumman is bipartisan.
Yeah. So, okay. So, so it's just incredible that this is the one time that they will vote to weaken their own power. Never, ever, ever anything else.
So,
Martina says, are you serious that Dems want this? I'm going to cry. Yes. All right. Ted's got to go check outside again.
Bring in Robbie, and then I'll be back. I just have to make sure my house isn't burning.
House is not burning. All right, Robbie. Okay, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to hit the JAWS because Ted's got DMZ right after this at 11. So you guys stay tuned for that. I'm going to hit the JAWS. All right. So this one, applicable to me, Ted read it too, and he sent it. I was like, that's funny. I just read the story. So pregnancy doesn't just grow a baby. It actually reshapes the brain. So this whole thing about, women have been saying for ages that when you're pregnant, you get nappy brain or baby brain or diaper brain. You've heard women say this like for ages, right?
Oh yeah.
And like you're forgetful, you get brain fog, all that stuff. I just can't freaking believe that it's 2026 and only now are they studying. Could that be true? Could nappy brain be true? Turns out it is. So new research is showing that during pregnancy, a woman's brain undergoes dramatic structural changes scientists say are designed to help mothers bond with and care for their babies. Researchers found that parts of the brain linked to social understanding and emotional processing shrink in volume during pregnancy. At first glance, that might sound alarming, but scientists say it's not damage, it's specialization. They said it's 5% of a woman's gray matter, 5% of her actual brain shrinks. And this is what it is. They say to think of it.
Does it never come back then?
No, well, here, we'll get to that. So they said to think of it like pruning a tree. The brain trims certain connections off, like it cuts it off. So that way the circuits that matter most for parenting become sharper and more efficient. So it sends all the energy. It basically, it's like train tracks. It's sending the train where it needs to go, right? And not have so many different stops, if you will, on the Amtrak, right? You're going to go on the Acela and go from here straight to Boston, right? Like you got to go where you got to go. So the brain kind of does that when you become pregnant. And that's why women tend to be more forgetful about, things that like, did you pay the cell phone bill? Oh, crap. No, I forgot to do that. Because your brain is literally being rewired to focus on your little one. So those areas help mothers read facial expressions. We're talking about the baby. Read facial expressions, interpret baby needs, respond quickly to emotional cues. In other words, pregnancy appears to be fine-tuning the brain specific to caregiving, and the changes aren't temporary. Studies tracking women for years after childbirth show that many of these brain differences persist long after baby is born. Researchers believe that they help mothers stay attuned to their children during early childhood development. Hormones are also a big driver of this transformation. During pregnancy, levels of estrogen and progesterone skyrocket. I know, believe me, I have like this ongoing dull headache here because of all the hormones raging through my body. Among the highest hormonal shift that the human body can ever experience. Those signals trigger neurological remodeling and prepares the brain for motherhood. Scientists say these findings challenge the old stereotype of baby brain, the idea that pregnancy makes women forgetful or cognitively weaker. It does. They just stop being PC, these articles. It does. It does, but there's a reason behind it. That's all they need to say, but they, want to appease the feminists or whatever. So instead, the evidence suggests just the opposite. This is a spin. I'm going to say it as a pregnant, middle-aged woman. This is a spin. Instead, the evidence suggests the opposite. The brain is reorganizing itself for a new and highly demanding role. Pregnancy doesn't just change the body, it rewires the brain, preparing it for one of the most complex jobs that humans can ever take on. I'm all for that, and I'm with it. There's another dad that can join. I'm with it, but I'm not buying the spin. It does make you appear dumber and more forgetful about some other stuff. You have pregnancy brain or baby brain, nappy brain. It's true. But it's not, you appear dumber because you forget your brain is being rewired to focus on the needs of this little human, right? That is part of why when I had my son, I went back to work when he was like 12 weeks old or something. And he was still nursing, and RT was kind enough to make a breast pump room for me with a computer so I could still work and have the machines on going. But the thing is, your body is so rewired for this new little human is that my son could be hungry at home 10 miles away and I'm at the studio and the nips would just start like dripping. And I would call and FaceTime my mom, and sure enough, just to test it, because I wanted to test if that was true, that you kind of, as a new mom, that your body senses when baby is hungry. Sure enough, he was hungry. So, just the things that happen to a woman's body is, I cannot believe that for all the years of modern science that we've studied a gajillion and one things that don't matter, right? Like, why are we just now understanding the mapping of the pregnant woman's physical brain? Why are we just now doing that?
I have a question for you. And I'm not trying to troll, because what you're talking about is, to me, it makes perfect sense. How is it that you can have these scientific journals that have come out and explain all of this stuff, but here in the West, we don't even know what a woman is anymore? Like, we have tampons in men's rooms. There are people who will go out of their way to say that, yes, men can get pregnant and give birth. But then you have studies like this showing that there is an actual biological difference between men and women. That's a part about all this that I do not understand. I don't understand why the feminists are not punching back at the trannies. I don't understand why the scientific community is not punching back at the trannies.
I stopped identifying with the feminists because of this. Like, I'm like post-feminist because of this, because we've relinquished our divine feminine power to the patriarchy. We've given it to the patriarchy to say, you can be one of us now. After I became a mom, I was like, no, fuck that. You cannot be one of us. Like, you can't. I'm sorry, Robbie. You can get a boob job. You can cut off your ding dong. You can put on a wig. You can put on lipstick, but your body will never be able to do what mine does. Period. And that's where I feel like if we're politicizing science, this is where science has like jumped the shark. Like you can't be giving these men, these biological men, these pills to make their male nipples secrete some kind of weird, it's not colostrum, because your bodies literally can't make that. I mean, I don't have breast tissue anymore, so I can't nurse this time. But when I did, like, no biological male body can do what the biological female's body does. And it's not going to happen. They can't be pregnant. This can't happen to their brain. It can't be rewired to. It just doesn't happen. Like, you can map the brain and show. So I hate the politicization of science, especially when it comes to the maternal body. I think it's wrong. It's unfair to us. It diminishes us as women, as as mothers. And I appreciate science like this, but it also shows you how much the patriarchy controls fucking science, because we're in the year 2026 and we're just now understanding that the brain gets rewired.
Manila, if the patriarchy controlled science, we wouldn't be pretending that men could get pregnant.
No, but it's the men who want to play dress up as women that are in control. Men are in control of the levers.
I think what it is, honestly, I think that men nowadays are just as they are. I think a lot of them are cowards, and that they are afraid to just come out and speak obvious truths. I don't think this is about control. I think this is about money. I think this is about funding. I think this is about getting grants.
Sure, all of that.
That's not the patriarchy. That's corporate capture. So let's be honest with our terms.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that. I'm not a big bra burning feminist, as you know, but to some degree there is a level of patriarchy involved in corporate America, in capitalism, because these are all men that are in charge, that are running these. I mean, unless you're running 23andMe and you're who was that, Sergey Brin's ex-wife that owns 23andMe. Apart from that, everybody else is like a male CEO of all these like genetics and science companies and whatever. They're all men.
But the CEOs are controlled by the boards, and then the boards are controlled by the people who fund them.
Mostly men. But the whole point is, it's you men who want to be us. That's my point. You guys want to be us. There's more of you guys trying to look like me.
That is the last thing that I want.
Yeah,
not you, but
I have other things I'd like to do, but not that. Yeah.
There's you two representative of other penile Americans. I don't represent that.
No, I want to be in my woman. Board. I don't want to be my woman. There's a difference.
Not you two, but I'm just saying that as representative of the male species, it's more of you guys that want to be us than we want to be you.
Then why
is true? There's a lot more male to female. Are there? Yeah. I feel like there are anecdotally more male to female transition.
Yeah. I don't have the exact numbers,
around,
but
right? Like
from what I've read, a lot more. I would say it's like a 3-to-1 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like it's a big difference. There's more of you guys.
But I wonder
who want to do the tuck, who want to tuck and wear skirts, than us who want to chop boobs and wear suits.
Which is weird when you consider patriarchy, because you would think that like it would be the other way around.
Exactly.
Because
it's exactly my point.
You know, girls could be getting the advantages.
That's exactly my point, is why I'm saying subversive patriarchy by way of like tucking your schlong.
Tucking or worse.
Tucking. Yeah, I don't even want to. I've seen these surgeries.
You have? Under what
context?
Yeah,
there's some medical.
You went to go see.
There's like medical.
You went to go see a dick cutting.
No, there's like medical videos that are out there. And if you go deep enough into,
you are a much kinkier person than I thought.
If
That's
you ever male or female boner will be killed by watching any of these videos.
Well, I would say that's true about surgery in general, right? I mean, I don't think that like I'm going to look at anything that involves cutting of human flesh and bleeding, and
my C-section that
I mean, yeah, like, well, that's like there are for the C-section where the husband is in the room, and I'm like, I strongly recommend against that.
My husband was in the room. He said he looked over the sheet and was like, "Oh my God." Like, he told me after, but he was like, I wish I never saw that.
No, he didn't need to see that. Like, I think honestly, the old days were better when childbirth was women's business. You had the midwives, you had the relatives,
or maybe her mom is in there with her or something.
Yeah, well, they're kind of like the midwives, right? And basically, this is ladies be dealing with this. And then, like, the father's job is to go down the pub, pass out cigars to all of his friends, and toast the festivities with his buddies, and be very drunk later. That's it. That's literally the man's job.
Just be amazed by the magic that is childbirth and bringing life into the world. That's all. Just
I think
the two of you go be a dude and
I think the
leave
two
us
of you
alone.
I think the two of you are being incredibly sexist and offensive. I mean, you are using stereotypical gender roles.
Hell yes.
I think it's repugnant, and the two of you should apologize, and you should start flagellating yourselves live on stream.
Never.
Because of what you've done.
Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
I bathe in being politically incorrect. Love it. All right, let's do the last fun story because Ted's got DMZ at 11.
DMZ America podcast is coming up with exiled Iranian cartoonist Nick
Ted,
Kassar.
are we doing our new show today?
We are, 3:00 Eastern time.
What?
Robbie and I are having a Robbie and Ted off.
We are going to be debating some serious topics.
I'm not even sure what we're doing, what we're talking about.
I have no idea.
Robbie and I decided we're going to have it out. It's going to be super spice.
You guys are going to fight at 3:00
to the death.
Yeah.
On which channel? On TMI channel?
No, on Ted's Rumble channel.
On my personal Rumble channel.
Okay, you're going to have to tell them how to find it because people might want to see you and Robbie fight.
Yeah, they probably will. All right. So
you should just use it on the TMI channel. Just broadcast on the TMI channel because then they already know where to find you.
We could probably do both, right?
I don't know.
One or the other because we'll be going through Rumble Studio.
Okay. All right. Great. Good
okay.
Point.
All right. Let's get to the next final fun story. It's about a Russian invasion in America.
Okay, so we've literally got 4 minutes here. Watching an old Western might leave you with the perception that tumbleweeds have always been part of the landscape in the West. However, many of the spiky shrubs are actually an invasive species from Russia. Celosa tragus goes by a lot of names, including Russian thistle and wind witch, but its best known title comes from the way that the plant breaks free from the ground when it's done growing, blows around, and spreads hundreds of thousands of seeds. While some native tumbleweeds are around, like Aromanthus albus, aka the common tumbleweed, Russian thistle is highly invasive, a term that basically is used to describe species that choke out native plants. Today, Russian thistle is the most common type of California tumbleweed. Botanists think that Russian thistle arrived in South Dakota around 1873, accidentally mixed into containers of flaxseed brought with European immigrants, and growing unchecked in arid, desolate regions because it doesn't need a lot of water. Russian thistle got so powerful and widespread that it alarmed government botanists who reported in the 1890s that the plant had claimed 35,000 square miles of land in just 2 decades of growth. Wind helped disperse the seeds, but the railroad system also added to the problem. Tumbleweeds may seem relatively benign, but they're known to gather en masse during windstorms, causing highways to shut down and even trapping people in their homes and cars. New species can be 6 feet tall, prompting naturalists to remove them whenever they crop up with the help of shovels and herbicides. Tumbleweeds are cool. You know, of course, I'm not from the West. I'm from Ohio. So I didn't see one until the first time I traveled out West. And even then, I don't think the first time I went. But the point is, you know, you have to go to like places like Arizona, Eastern California, Nevada to see them. And then you see them and you're like, Oh, it's so cool. And tumbleweeds are weird. They literally are
driving out to Vegas. Like,
they're so cool.
I had no idea it came from Russia. So we had like,
or that they were terrifying.
I didn't know that
6 feet tall.
I've never seen one that big, I guess, but there
it's
you
not
go.
The size
it's a little
of your
bit of
tumbleweed,
history.
it's how you use it.
Like, there you go. I thought that was a cool. Oh, Robbie says they have them there in Montana. I thought it's too
that's the
like
West.
Moist.
Montana's definitely the West.
Oh, I guess it's arid enough. Yeah. That's who knew. The Russians invaded us a long time ago. And well, remember, Alaska used to be theirs. So I don't think it came from Alaska, though. So there you go. It's not a John Wayne thing. All right. Stay tuned for DMZ with Ted. Who's the guest again? The Iranian cartoonist?
Nick Kausar. He's a cartoonist who was sent to prison for his drawings in the early 2000s. And he became...
In Iran?
In Iran. And then he became an exile, and he has thoughts, as you can imagine.
Oh.
He's also a really cool guy.
Is he here in America now?
He is. And he's not a cartoonist anymore.
Oh.
But he's...
there. Well, you remember, that reminds me of that Curb Your Enthusiasm fatwa. The fatwa episode with Larry David.
One of my favorites.
So that's... I think I should watch that tonight. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for DMZ America, Ted Rall, and Scott Stantis coming up with an exiled Iranian American cartoonist, former cartoonist. So thanks for being here. Adios, my friends.
Bye.
Bye.